These FBI agents that got mistakenly arrested humiliated the law enforcement officers that did it to them. Have you ever wondered what happens when law enforcement officers mistakenly arrest someone they shouldn't? In this eye-opening video, we'll delve into several intriguing instances where individuals initially detained by the police turned out to be undercover FBI agents. How did these encounters unfold, and what were the reactions of both the officers and the agents involved? Let's find out. Case 1. So we come across a heartwarming interaction with the police involving a Sudanese citizen. He is simply minding his own business when officers approach him and begin questioning him, mistakenly assuming he is someone else. Right from the start, the man asserts that he is a victim of racial profiling. The situation escalates, leading to a tense argument, and eventually, the police put him in handcuffs. Throughout the ordeal, the man persists in requesting that the officers verify his identity by checking his ID. After some time, they finally comply, and the outcome unfolds in a touching manner. Once the officers checked his ID, it revealed that he was actually an FBI agent, leaving them utterly stunned. The shock on their faces was evident and quite memorable. This incident undoubtedly stands out as one of the most remarkable encounters where someone underestimated the person they were dealing with. Following the revelation of his true identity, the man requests to speak with a supervisor. Once the supervisor arrives, he boldly asks for the officer's identification cards. It's quite amusing how the police officers become silent and direct their attention to the supervisor. He appears visibly anxious and uncertain about the consequences of this encounter. It becomes evident that they are all aware that their actions could potentially put their jobs at risk. Case 2. In this scene, a police officer is conversing with a man who claims to be an FBI agent. Despite the man showing his credentials, the officer remains skeptical and decides to verify the situation by calling the station to check the vehicle's plates. Surprisingly, the information returned indicates that the vehicle belongs to a wiring company rather than a government agency. However, the man confidently explains that it is a covered vehicle. As the interaction progresses, it becomes apparent that the man was the one who initiated contact with the officer. The officer is now puzzled, wondering how the man obtained his phone number. After that, the police officer informs the man that he is being detained, though he doesn't immediately handcuff him. The reason behind the detention is the man's lack of cooperation. When the man offers to provide his registration, the cop declines and states that he is waiting for his supervisor to arrive before proceeding further. Afterward, the police officer communicates over his radio, stating that the man's name is Special Agent Hatton from Jacksonville. However, when checking with the authorities, they initially received no response regarding his identity. Later, the officer changes his statement, mentioning that he does hear some information coming through. Nevertheless, despite their efforts to verify the man's status, they are unable to confirm anything definitively, leading them to eventually handcuff him. Following his detention, the man spends some time in the back of a police car and then requests that the officer call for an ambulance. Once the ambulance arrives, the police officer describes the entire situation to the paramedics. He mentions that the man had complained about experiencing shortness of breath and vision issues. While the paramedics attend to the man, the officer tries to justify his actions, stating that the man indeed turned out to be legitimate as an FBI agent. However, the officer insists that the reason for the initial detention was the man's behavior, which he perceived as suspicious. Case 3. The case begins with police officers arresting a man and subsequently placing him in handcuffs. One of the officers inquires about the man's credentials. In response, the man explains that the FBI issued those credentials when he used to work for them. However, upon hearing this, the cop immediately begins to read the man his rights. After the initial arrest, the officer mentions that it was due to the presence of red and blue lights. He then returns to the topic of the man's credentials and expresses surprise upon learning about his past employment with the FBI. The man further discloses that he had worked as a contractor for both the FBI and the Department of Justice. Subsequently, he provides details about his current job and where he was headed at that moment. After that, the video suddenly stops, so we don't know what happened afterward. But it's clear that the cops realized they had arrested the wrong person. You can see it in their reactions and expressions. And there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with others. Hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.